Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And this week, joining us from Mumbai in India is Mahesh Jade. Hi, Mahesh. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Vasco.
So Mahesh is an Agile evangelist dedicated to championing the cause of building winning teams and winning products. He's a facilitator by passion, a coach and agilist at heart. He works to bring agility to the organization and humanizing the workplace. Mahesh, that was just a short intro. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Yes, Vasco, absolutely. And it's a great pleasure to be here. As I was mentioning, I think whenever I started my journey of becoming an agilist and a Scrum Master, these podcasts were always there with me as my breakfast food. So I would listen to them and then I would start my day. And they have always encouraged me and given me new insights and new ideas. So if I have to look at my journey of becoming a Scrum Master, I would say there was some kind of personality that I have in the background. So if I will go to a place and I'm looking at certain things, I will quickly start recognizing some improvement areas or some things that we can do on top of it that will make that particular thing even more beautiful or meaningful or maybe impactful or more worthy for people. So from that background, I think it was a very great thing to be in. So whenever I was going through the theory or the stuffs in Scrum and Agile, they used to resonate always. And that is how my journey have progressed of becoming a Scrum Master. And it followed with best opportunities at different workplaces and different projects. And I just have been trying to do and trying to bring my personality of bringing improvements into workplaces and humanizing the things into all the opportunities that I get.
Absolutely. And definitely having a natural affinity with the role of the Scrum Master is something that many of our listeners, I'm sure, are thinking about. When you think about that affinity, that personality you say is there in the background, what do you say besides the improvement, which you already mentioned, the continuous improvement focus that you mentioned, what are the other things that you think make you feel like Scrum Master is a natural role for you to take?
Yeah, Vasco. So I think one of the things that makes me feel very good about this role is that the spirit of servant leadership, it can be lived at any career level, not just limited to the Scrum Master or a team player or any career level in any organization. Because with that, people come up with an intention to help others, to serve them, and even to lead them with the help of their thoughts or what they discover outside in other companies or in other forums. So that makes this journey very beautiful. And I think that is one of the key things I love about this thing, and that this spirit of servant leadership, once it gets imbibed, we can actually live it at any career level continuously.
That's absolutely have the intention to help others. That was well said. So, Mahesh, on Mondays we like to explore a story of a difficult moment which we all experience as Scrum Masters. So, take a minute. Tell us that story. Walk us through the steps that led to that difficult moment in your career as a Scrum Master. Then later on we dive into the insights and the takeaways. But walk us first through that story, that difficult moment you had as a Scrum Master.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel there are two parts to it. Whenever we look at the improvements and failure, it is an usual convention that we may look at everything as an lesson or as an improvement, but not as a failure. But I think there are some of the things where we do something and they do not have a direct impact, and as well as no collateral benefits around it. So I think those are the things which we may consider as something has failed. And I think one of the thing I remember, so the first part being the Scrum theory and second part being the context where we apply to that. So in one of the project, in one of the organization, I applied a particular practice of building a story bucket which was very helpful. So people were building UIs, and they used to have something coming up to their plate every now and then of similar sort of work. So we built.
What do you mean by story bucket?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to talk more about that. So when we were estimating a story, if somebody says that I think this story is of story point 3 or 5 for that matter, as an example, we would quickly pull up other stories which are of similar nature and of similar story points, and we'll just quickly allow them to take a look at that snapshot and decide whether they are still willing to stick to the estimate, or whether they have discovered any new insight looking at that quick snapshot. So that was pretty cool. That worked. But I think in terms of the thing we are discussing and failures and setback, I think when I tried to apply the same practice in another project and in another organization where people were mostly into infrastructure and platform development, that did not go exactly well. So people were not able to relate, because every time the work will have nitty gritties and different kind of structure. They were not pieces of the work. They were not matching with each other. So I think from there, I took this lesson that applying the theory in a context is very, very important in Scrum. And if we don't pick up the right context to apply the right theory, then that may become a failure, is what I have learned.
Yeah, absolutely. So that definitely the context is, or as some people usually say, context is king, right? So context defines what the practice is that may work. On the other hand, of course, we need to apply something in the wrong context before we know it doesn't apply. So there's also that part, the part of learning, which is exactly what we talk about here on Mondays. When you look back, so you look at that situation where you had the practice that you've had some success with, and then you go into a new organization, new team, and different context, obviously, and you try to apply the same practice. That doesn't work. What were the signs? Like, what were the how did the team react? What kind of conversations did you have that revealed that this practice was not adaptable or not appropriate for this context?
Yeah, so it was very funny, and it all started with the body language of the team and the member of the team. So sometimes there will be a silence for a very long time, and we are looking at particular practice, and people are doing that because people want to give it a shot, and because that was the kind of culture we have built, that let's give it a shot. But then from the body language itself, we start getting those initial signs of the thing that, okay, this is not helping the people very much. And I think as a Scrum Master and as an agilist, we have to be we have to develop that quality that we read from the voice of the people and even from their silences. I think that was the sign, and that is how I discovered that this is not running forward, and I have to change the track.
Yeah, we need to read people's non-verbal communication, right? Yeah. Standing back, crossing arms, looking a bit worried or surprised when that shouldn't be happening. Definitely something that we as Scrum Masters need to learn how to do. Thank you very much for sharing that story, Mahesh.
Very, very nice getting a chance to share that.
Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests help their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.